Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, July 13th, 2023, 6 p.m. I'd like to invite Daniel Beard, pastor of Action Church, if he'll come forward, provide our invocation, and lead us in our pledge, if everyone will stand.
Let us pray. Father, we're thankful that we have the opportunity to practice government in the United States. We thank you, God, for your hand that's been upon East Ridge as we move forward in progress. I pray, God, for these councilmen and women that are represented here on the platform that we've elected, God, as they make decisions along with the mayor and the city manager and city attorney. God, I pray, God, that it would continue to steer us forward. God, would you bless this community, each and every business, each and every resident, God, may we be blessed by the decisions they make. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Before we get started, I would like to recognize Mark Gravitt, your presence, and we're glad to see you, glad to have you here. Former council member, former vice mayor, former state representative, and our current register of deeds. Appreciate you being here. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Haynes. Here. Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Tyler.
Here.
Councilmember Witt.
Here.
City Manager Miller.
Here.
City Attorney Litchford.
Here.
All right, the first item we have on the agenda is a special presentation, and I will hand it over to Vice Mayor Haynes.
Thank you. If the council and mayor would like to join me at the microphone. Mark Gravitt here.
First, we are there. Okay. Senator Gardenhire and I have the privilege to honor a friend and public servant, Mark Gravitt. A longtime resident of East Ridge, Mark served on the East Ridge City Council from 2012 to 2016, serving as a councilman and vice mayor. During this time, Mark was elected to the Tennessee House of Representatives, serving District 30 from 2014 through 2018. In 2018, Mark was elected as the Hamilton County Register of Deeds, a position he continues to serve in today. He implemented the Property Fraud Alert System, which has been a valuable tool for property owners. It is my honor to present this ceremonial street sign to Mark Gravitt for his service to the City of East Ridge, Hamilton County, and the state of Tennessee. We are a better community because of his service. Mark Gravitt Highway is located from Prater Road to South Smith Road on State Highway 41, Ringgold Road. Congratulations, Mark.
I mean, those of you that know me, I don't think you can say that I am ever a loss for words. But at this point, I am. I did not expect this. And I would like to thank my former colleagues in the House and the State Senate for this great honor. I would like to especially thank Esther and Senator Gardenhire for sponsoring the legislation. I didn't know about it until about a month ago when Esther texted me a copy of the legislation, and it's really an honor. And I'd like to thank, I worked with about half of y'all in here whenever I was sitting up here where Esther's sitting at now, and I'd like to thank all you guys. You know, the employees of the City of East Ridge are what keep this city moving every day, including Scott Miller and Diane and Janet over here and Mark Litchford. They all do a fabulous job. Elected officials get criticized a lot, but sometimes the public does not know all the behind-the-scenes detail. I'd like to thank Brian and the City Council for allowing Esther to make this presentation here today. Thank you very much, sir. And I'd like to thank my staff. I didn't know they were going to be here, y'all. But there's about half of them that my wife snuck in and invited them to come here today. And my daughter's here, my mom's here, and Cleo, my wife, is here. And thank you all. I appreciate it.
We love you.
Love you. Thanks, Brian. Thanks,
Yes,
Dave.
one for y'all,
Thanks,
and one,
Audrey.
one you can put one in the new bag.
And I sat in on enough of these, so I'm going to exit stage left and let y'all take care of the city's business. But thank you all again.
Congratulations. All right, the next item on the agenda is a consent agenda item. It's the approval of the minutes of June 22nd, 2023 council meeting and the declaration of surplus property, police department. I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review those, and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion or corrections? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. We'll move to the next item, which is communication of citizens. This is an opportunity for any resident or citizen to come forward and address the council with any questions, concerns, accolades. And at this point, we have two that signed in. Paul Eller. If you'll come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Paul Eller, 4344 Lazard Street. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
City Council, I appreciate you giving me the time to come here today. First of all, I want to thank the sanitation department. It goes very unnoticed, and it's a thankless job. But I do have a concern of mine. For 3 or 4 months now, I guess a couple of the trucks are spilling oil, and it happens to be spilling all over in front of my driveway. And then my car runs through and ends up all in my driveway. These aren't small little, these are basketball size, and it did it today too. I thought first couple of times, I thought, well, maybe something was broke and, give the benefit of the doubt, but it just keeps going on. If you drive down the roads, you can see every stop that next to a garbage can, there's a puddle of oil. I've reached out to the sanitation department and advised them, and they were pretty indignant about it. That's why I'm here today. So I would appreciate if it could at least get fixed.
Mr. Miller's probably made a note of that, and we'll follow up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next we have is Daniel Beard.
Daniel Beard, resident of East Ridge, but pastor of Action Church located at 707 South Germantown Road, East Ridge, Tennessee. First, I want to also reiterate what Mark Gravitt said. Oftentimes when you're in public service, decisions you make and such, it gets criticized and scrutinized and people say things. A few weeks ago, a decision I was making because our church is growing, we were cutting trees. A neighbor came to this public forum complaining. I wanted to publicly say that I have made amends with that neighbor. In fact, me and some men of my church were just out in his yard last week drinking Sprites that he offered us. And so I want y'all to know that. Secondly, Action Church has put a hold on cutting trees, which I found out from Michael Howe. We did nothing wrong because it was our property. But we put a hold on cutting trees because we made an offer on 1312 Spring Creek Road for the Spring Creek Road Baptist Church, and that offer was accepted. Today, as of today, speaking with the loan company, it looks like it's going to happen. I'll know for sure next week. But it looks like Action Church will be moving and be staying in East Ridge for a long time to come.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great news. All right, that is all that is actually signed in, but if there's anyone in the audience, now's an opportunity for you to come forward. All right, I don't see anyone, so we'll move to the next item of business, communications from council member. I'll start on this side, Councilmember Tyler.
Yes. July 29th, the Eastridge Optimist Club is going to be having their Cars for Kids car show at Camp Jordan Arena. Admission is free for all those who'd like to come and look at all the cars. I think it's a $50 entrance fee for anybody who'd like to enter their car into the car show. It's going to run from 9 till, I think, 1 p.m. Yeah, that's all I've got.
A lot of awards, a lot of prizes.
Yeah, a lot of awards. We're going to have door prizes. Another
50-50.
50-50. We'll have a couple vendors there. Our sponsor, Southern Honda, will be there with a tent. It's going to be a good time.
Awesome.
Bring the kids.
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Witt,
This time.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
And nothing at this time.
Councilmember. All right, I'll go through my list. Past event we had was a great Eastridge Cleanup Day 2023. That was actually on the 24th of June. The City of Eastridge and the Eastridge Council of Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce partnered to host the first ever Cleanup Day. Special thanks that goes to our sponsors and the generous donation time and efforts. Some of those are Fearless Church, Coca-Cola, Hampton Inn, Buddy's Barbecue in Eastridge, Be Caffeinated, Patriot Insurance Solutions, Chattanooga Red Wolf Soccer Club, and Eastridge residents. So we appreciate everyone that come out and helped, and we're excited to have this become an annual event. As I do always, I want to also comment on our great library and our Parks and Rec, along with the other great departments, but these got some items I wanted to mention. Camp Reed S'more. It is Eastridge Library on July the 14th, I believe, as of late this afternoon. There's still 2 or 3 slots open. 10:30 a.m. Join them for ghost stories, hot dogs, and walking s'mores. Adopt and reading a pet and bring your own blankets to build a fort in the library. Stories are best suited for ages 5 to 11, but all ages are welcome. And you can bring the whole family. Registration is required. Space is limited, but I believe there was still some slots open. You can call 423-867-7323 or email dconway@eastridgetn.gov. Then also, they are doing a coin wars. So you can fill any jar with coins or cash, and if you would like to see your favorite librarian get pied in the face. So the staff member with the most money will get a pie in the face. All proceeds will benefit the local library, and the contest ends August the 7th. Then also, the library is doing Meet the Author on August the 4th, 2 p.m. Barbara G. Tucker, novelist, will be speaking about her newest novel, Sudden Future. It's a story of grief, change, and love. Ms. Tucker is an author of 10 novels and many other works. She'll be taking questions on her writing process, talking about her books, and she'll have some for signing. No registration is required. And then Parks and Rec, they're doing a school supply drive. Bring school supply donations to the community center for the whole month of July. August 2nd from 9 to 6, we will have a free pickup day for community members to gather supplies that they need from the goods that are donated. You can bring things like notebooks, pens, pencils, binders, markers, crayons, etc. It's a great way to help out your neighbors. Then we have tons of sign up for summer. We've got baseball and t-ball, softball, soccer. The baseball, t-ball, and softball is July 1st to the 6th. Their season begins on the 5th. Several age groups, all the way from 3 to 15. T-ball is 25. That includes shirt and hat. Baseball is 65, shirt, hat, and D-bat partnership. Softball is 65, includes shirt, visor, and D-bat partnership as well. Soccer begins the 26th. There's groups from under 4 through under 19 co-ed. Fees range, so you can reach out to the Parks and Rec, and they'll give you more information about that. Then flag football is sign up for July the 1st to the 12th, and the season begins September 9th. $75 per kid, includes jersey, shorts, and flag belts. Cheerleading also July 1st to August the 12th registration, and season begins September the 9th. Age groups 4 to 14. Cheerleading is $100 a kid, includes cheer top, skirt, cheer bottoms, and pom-poms. And then adult softball is also July the 1st through August the 7th. Season is the 21st of August through October the 26th. $600 a team. There's a 16-game season and an in-season tournament. And divisions will be a variety from church, industrial plays on Monday, co-eds on Tuesday, and men's open play on Wednesday. Then I've got some things to talk about TDOT, but I believe Mr. Miller is going to talk about that. So I believe that's all that I have, so I will now pass it over to City Manager
Okay,
Miller.
thank you, Mayor. Got about 5 items I want to review real quickly. First on Ringgold Road, I'm going to give you an update on that one. Tally continues their work on the north side of Ringgold Road, installation of storm sewer and drainage structures between Cemetery and Belvoir. They were prepping the shoulder areas on the north side of Ringgold Road between Marlboro and Cemetery for curbing and sidewalk. Matter of fact, they've been pouring the past 3 days the curbing and the sidewalk for that area. And Chattanooga Gas continues their work in the vicinity of Choke and Ringgold Road with service tie-ins to the main gas lines. They're hopeful to be completed with their work in the next 3 weeks. So by the end of July or the first week in August, we can say goodbye to Chattanooga Gas and turn the whole section of road over to Tally and let them go to work on it. Update on that one. We have our big project on I-75, I-24, Phase 2. This is going to start next week. They're going to start on Friday. They'll be closing off exit 183A, Moore Road and Belvoir Road, entrance ramps onto 24. And then Wednesday, July 19th, they're going to be closed the other ramps on I-24, westbound and eastbound on North Terrace and South Terrace. They're going to be closing Moore Road Bridge. They'll be closing McBrien Bridge. And those bridges will be torn down at the same time. That's going to put a lot of traffic flowing over towards Belvoir for those individuals that want to go from Ringgold Road north to Brainerd or Spring Creek. You can get up there that way. With those 2 bridges going out, the traffic signals that are there on both sides of the bridges at these locations will be taken down. And there will be a continuous vehicular traffic pattern that will flow from, let's look at it, Belvoir east on South Terrace with a turnaround on the outside lane on Spring Creek Parkway, Spring Creek Drive, and then following west on North Terrace, from there all the way to Belvoir Road. There'll be no stop signs. There'll be no traffic signals. It's a continuous traffic way to get people around the intersections a lot quicker and a lot faster. Again, that's this Friday. It'll be closing off on Moore and Belvoir Road, and on Wednesday the 19th, the terraces, and then closing the 2 bridges. They're doing both bridges at the same time, so they only have to do, one bridge would take 1 year, so instead of doing 2 years, take the McBrien Bridge out, and then for 1 year, and take out the Moore Bridge for another year. They're going to do them both at the same time, and hope this works. Construction of the bridges will happen the week after, and then they'll start in October, widening efforts on I-24 from I-75 west to Germantown, adding a lane in each direction. This will be a 2.5-year project for the whole thing to be done. And we'll give you updates as my office gets them. And we'll also post all of this information on our website and also press releases to keep everybody advised of what's going on. When it's done, it'll be beautiful. It's just getting through this next 2.5-year period that's going to be a little nasty on everybody's part. So bear with us.
Did you mention the continuous loop?
Yes, I
Okay.
mentioned, yeah, the continuous lane, that's the lane that
Yep.
go.
They'll be doing a continuous loop there at Belvoir all the way down to Spring Creek. That'll continue to
Yes.
flow.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Got a couple more. Okay, one project that we're working on, just to give you an FYI for your information, on the corner of Melville and Wiley, we have a drainage ditch on the south side. The bank was sliding in. We had a utility pole that was leaning. So we've contracted the services of Integrated Concrete to reconcrete that drainage ditch that's in our city right away. And then the streets department will be rip-wrapping the shoulder to keep for further erosion of that bank into the drainage ditch area. So that's a joint project drafted up by our city engineer, but this was brought to my attention by several neighbors or residents in that area were noticing that, so we got on top of it. Okay. Oh, to let them know, also, we had the storm that everybody was involved with back on July 1st and 2nd. I think it was the Sunday storm that dropped about 2.5 inches in an hour on us and put a lot of areas in flooding conditions. A lot of people sustained a lot of tree damage. Trees have been out there on the side of the road. Our sanitation department has utilizing our 2 boom trucks. We worked last Saturday. We're going to work again this Saturday, and also our 5 days during the week to be able to catch up, get all those limbs. So bear with us on this. I'd say in certain areas of the city, it was almost 40 to 50% of the houses on the street had limbs or piles of tree limbs and so forth out there piled up in front of the yard. We will get to you. We haven't forgotten about it, but we're working our way. And lastly, I have a presentation to make. This will be to Mayor Brian Williams. So if you want to stand, and I'll read it to you. I know he's being modest. He really didn't want me to bring this up, but it's from the state of Tennessee, state capital, by Governor Bill Lee. It says, by virtue of the authority vested in me, thereby confer upon Mayor Brian Williams this certificate of appreciation in recognition of outstanding service in the best interests and in the highest traditions of the state of Tennessee. Given under my hand in the Great Seal of the state of Tennessee in Nashville, this 23rd day of June, 2023. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, I am shocked. I was honored, kind of speechless like Mr. Gravitt. I am privileged to be elected to be the mayor of the city of East Ridge. I love this city. I love what we're doing. I am blessed to have a wonderful council body. I appreciate y'all's support, and that's all I can say. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate the citizens and the support from the staff. If it wasn't for the staff and the employees, we wouldn't be the city that we are. And I say that every month when we talk about milestone awards. So thanks everyone. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to old business, resolution number 3399.
Resolution of the East Ridge City Council authorizing the mayor to execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the city regarding demolition and restoration of the property at 1500 Keeble Street with the owner, Keaton Patel. I don't have an update other than, the update is I did receive a draft copy of the property owner's version of a settlement agreement. I just need to look at that, and we'll have that. And I have every expectation it will be on the next agenda, ready for approval.
All right, then we will move to new business. Item A, public hearing for ordinance number 1188.
An ordinance of the City Council for City of East Ridge to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 1514 Waterhouse Street, tax map number 169N-F-017 from R1 Residential District to RT1 Residential Townhouse District.
Thank you, sir. I will open up this public hearing. Is the applicant or anyone representing the applicant, would you like to come forward and address the council? And then I will ask if there's anyone that is in favor of or opposed to, that you'll have an opportunity to come forward afterwards. Yes, sir, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Rocky Chambers. I'm with CEG. We're the civil engineers on this project, representing the project for the Morris Brothers. Our office is located at 400 East Main Street here in Chattanooga. I think you presented the case there. We're looking to build some townhouses on this property. We feel like it should bring some value to this part of the city, and pretty proud of the architecture that's in progress here on this property. We're looking to do up to 7 townhouses here. These will be primarily a for sale product, so each unit will be individually able to be sold. It will be surface park somewhere between 1,300 and we're looking at somewhere between a 2-story and 2.5-story unit, so somewhere between 1,300 square feet to about 1,700 square feet. Believe you should have in your packet a plan for the property there, as well as maybe some elevations of the unit types that we're looking at building. I understand, as was pointed out in Planning Commission, there was maybe a landscaping buffer or some landscaping material that might need to be added to this plan as we work through the process and work through staff to ultimately get this permitted. That's really all I have right now. Is there any questions?
Any questions, council?
You're still planning on building 7 units on the property?
Yes, ma'am.
How wide is that property?
The total width of the property? Oof. Oh, you had to ask the question I don't have an answer to right now.
You're
I
the
don't
engineer,
recall.
not me.
I can look that up, but it would take me a minute. It's, yeah, let's see here, 25.
Okay, so we're gonna build 7 townhomes,
Correct.
and, looks like here they're gonna be 18-foot wide.
Yes, sir.
Only got a picture here of 2. So how are you gonna place these on the lot?
I can show you, but these actually, the front of these units actually will not be facing Waterhouse. There'll be a parking lot that comes off of Waterhouse there, and then surface parked, and these units will be placed perpendicular towards Waterhouse, and so they'll be facing the parking lot. So you have one unit next to Waterhouse, and then the rest will be stacked interior to the property.
Well, they're 18-foot wide. Now, how long is this gonna make them then?
We're 30, so they're 18 by 38
18
footprint.
by 38, okay. Gonna be 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom?
They'll all be 2-bedroom.
Bedroom. So how many parking spaces you gonna have?
We'll be following the code. I believe it's 2 units, 2 parking spaces per unit, yeah. So 14 total.
We're all gonna enter on Waterhouse Street, a little bit narrow street there.
We'll have one entrance for the entire community, that's correct, yes.
How about your garbage service? Well, where's it gonna be placed?
We talked a little bit about that. We'll have to have that up at the public street so that trash service can collect that. So we'll have to set aside a certain place for trash collection there.
So it won't be a dumpster, it'll be, they'll have cans.
That is the intent, yes, sir.
All gonna be set on Waterhouse.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm concerned with the number of people who are gonna be in that little half-acre lot, so. All my questions.
Any others? All right, I'll have an opportunity for anyone in the audience, if you'd like to come forward in favor of or in opposition. Now is the opportunity to come forward. All right, I see no one. I'll close the public meeting, and we'll move into the actual reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance is East Ridge City Council to amend zoning regulations in the zoning map of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 1514 Waterhouse Street, tax map number 169N-F-017 from R1 Residential District to RT1 Residential Townhouse District.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1188.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1188.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Tyler and a second by Vice Mayor Haynes. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, in the planning commission meeting, Mr. Howe, there was a question on regards whether or not the emergency services would have access. There's only one ingress there. With a fire, you had to talk to Mr. Flynn about whether or not we can get our fire trucks in there. Were you able to obtain an answer to that question?
Yes, sir, I was. So the IFC requires, if you're extending past 150 feet, that's when you're going to have a turnaround for our fire apparatus. This lot itself, Mr. Cagle asked what the width, I think the width of it is. I think it's around 150 by 178, somewhere around there. It being 150, then you having your landscape buffer is going to reduce that down to 158. There really wasn't a concern with that because of the fact the sprinkler system will be introduced to every single unit in there. Going back to one other item on there was the trash service pickup. Title 17 of the sanitation ordinance requires that, tenants provide, the receptacles would be provided at the right-of-way. So that'll be something that the developer will have to build into this configuration as well to pick up those sanitation cans, unless they go to a dumpster on site, and that would be something totally different.
Thank you.
Mr. Howell, the density on this is, if I read this correctly, is that 14?
14 dwelling unit per acre, yes.
Per acre.
Yes.
As I appreciate investment and the improvement, but I have concern with the density and the volume. I'm not sure if the developer would consider reducing the number of homes, but I think 7 for me is just a little too dense for that small road and that subdivision area. But it's council's decision. So we have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, we, say this does pass. Okay, on Waterhouse, there's an empty lot just right on down the street. Okay? This gentleman wants to go down here and purchase that lot, so we were setting a preference, if we pass this tonight, that he can come back and want to put 7 townhomes on that lot. Would I be correct making that statement?
You would be correct because of the fact that the RT1 is based on density. R1 is really, when you look at the R1, you're required to have 75-foot road frontage, 10,000 minimum build site for a single family. Where now you're looking at 1,350 square feet and 18-foot wide. So that does set a precedence for, you having your townhomes just pop up in these small little parcels. Now that's something that me and Scott have discussed that, we can look at this as in a whole and put some sort of ordinance in place that would require, a certain amount of acreage on these lots to be, only allow a certain amount of, townhomes to be built on them if that's something we wanted to look at doing in the future. I don't know if council's privy to that or something they're thinking about but it would eliminate, especially when you're having a small half-acre lot putting, 8 or 9 townhomes on it. Because you are disrupting the continuity of an R1 and the adjacent properties to it. You're really packing the density in there. Chattanooga has went through something similar to this as well. They did some overlay maps on theirs and in some of their urban districts where they just minimized it to like 4 units per site. So that's something we could look at as well.
I see this as creating a spot zoning in every neighborhood if we set a precedence here.
Well, we've already kind of set that precedence because we have, Boyd Street has some townhomes, Black Hawk Commons has some townhomes, spot zoning like that. So the precedent's already there. So it's just a matter of how we want to move forward with it.
Matter of density, I think.
A matter of density, absolutely.
Black Hawk was supposed to be a commercial.
Yes, sir, Mr. Cagle. It is commercial in the front, but it does have, it is RT.
Does have.
Yeah, it's
but
RT1 and RZ1 on
Come in
it.
front of us as a commercial townhome combined thing.
That's correct.
Okay.
The clerk right across the street's identical to that as well. It has the same outlay as Black Hawk Commons does.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and we have a second. So if there's no other discussion, roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
No,
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
No.
Mayor Williams.
No. Ordinance 1188 was not approved. We'll move to item C, ordinance number 1189.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend the East Ridge zoning ordinance number 481 relative to parking requirements for hotel motels located within certain commercial districts.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this one, Mayor and Council, and we'll get clarification. This is one that was on the agenda at the last meeting. Councilman Cagle had a motion. That motion passed as it related to expanding the parking spots from 9 by 18 to 10 by 20.
10 by 20.
10 by 20. I think this is back, the council approved that to go back to Planning Commission for that issue. The question that I asked Mr. Cagle was whether he intended for the issue of the width to go down together with this ordinance 1189 for purposes of having those lumped together as one ordinance
Yes, sir.
versus being two separate ones. And if I understand Mr. Cagle, that was the intent of his motion. Ms. Haynes seconded the motion, and it got passed unanimously by this body. So the question really is, I guess, with Mr. Cagle's clarification that he intended for it to be both, does this body want that to be both of? Is that what you thought you were voting on? Because we need to get a clarification on that.
Because this is only messing with the hotels and the motels and certain commercial tourism area. It's not for everything.
Right.
For all parking lots. It's just for those select few.
Is that what you wanted to do?
I don't have no objection to coming down to one parking lot per room as it needs, and then extending them from 9 foot by 18 to 10 by 20. Because everybody knows the cars are getting longer and they're getting wider.
Correct.
Down at Portofino's the other night, my wife and I can barely get in and out of the car in their parking lot, so.
So that really for this body is, for ordinance 1189, we'd go back to Planning Commission for a determination of both. Well, we've already understood the
Put it all under one
1.25 down
ordinance.
to one.
Yeah.
Does this body want to do that and send this back down?
You know what we're asking for, Mike?
Yeah,
Taking the number of parking spaces for a hotel from 1.25 down to 1 to 1, and increase the size of the spaces from 9 by 18 to 10 by 20 together.
and so those parking requirements, is that something you want to do across the board? Because, as we discussed in the last meeting, we have a variety of parking space requirements, sizes per angle requirements. Your 90 degrees will always be a 9 by 18. And honestly, to introduce a 10 by 20 into the commercial setting, you're actually going to start to lose more parking spaces. It really falls down to, can people park right? You know, if one person parks on the line, the next it falls in a domino effect. Trucks nowadays, take a Ford F-150, 79 inches wide. You know, I've looked at these studies. I did numerous studies on this and looked at it. These are the size of vehicles nowadays. Obviously trucks, and Mayor Williams has got a very nice truck, but it's a big truck.
But your SUVs are getting smaller.
But they are getting smaller. They are getting
the
smaller. Nothing gets you. But yeah, they're wide. They are wide. Mr. Cakel's correct, but I don't necessarily.
Mirrors make them even wider.
They do, and some of them nowadays
I
will
do
actually
fold mine
fold
in.
in. They will fold in. Brian, Mayor, does yours fold in? as well?
I fold mine in.
So I don't know how Planning Commission will look at that as, expanding those parking requirements. I mean, through the ages, you've went anywhere from 8.5 all the way up to 9.5 parking requirements. Municipalities within all of our jurisdiction are at a 9 by 18, all of them. Our industrial parking requirements are only 8.5 feet. So, like I said, there's a wide variety of parking spaces in our municipal ordinance, and, expanding that, I think, in my opinion, now, I will absolutely take it to Planning Commission, but in my opinion, I don't think that's necessarily a good idea to increase the size of a parking spot just to accommodate new vehicles, because, EVs are small. You still got compact vehicles. I think, Mr. Cagle, you drive, I know yours is kind of small, but I'm not.
Got one, but
Yes, but it depends on how the next person parks, or,
that and the mirrors,
yes,
because my mirrors don't fold.
I understand.
And my size, I gotta have the door open.
I do understand,
So-
sir.
Do we have any current applications for variances in nature, any hotel developments?
All the variances have been passed for all our parking reductions for stalls, yes. And every variance that's came through has always been a 1-to-1, what we're requesting, yeah. None at all, no.
I ask that just because the issue on the width could go back down if the body wants to address just the reduction in per unit relative to parking spots per unit of hotel rooms. Or we'll do it all done at once, and it can still be parceled out there. But I want to make sure Mr. Cagle gets what he.
Well, see, the question I asked, is this just for the hotels and the motels only? Answer was yes. So that's where I would like to put them.
Hotel motels.
Well, just like don't it read that way? Commercial,
Leave the commercial alone. Is that what you're looking at? If we tie both the size of the spaces with the number of spaces for those three districts, the C1, the C2, and for the hotels and motels, then the commercial could still go through with a 9 by 18.
had 5 or 6 different commercial listings, commercial tourism and.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would apply only to the C1, C2, and C4. That's the only districts that allow hotel motels.
Right.
Okay, so that's where I would like to leave it. I would like to ask for that.
But in the C1, C2, and C4, does that also include restaurants?
There are some restaurants that are allowed, but it would,
So that's,
Yeah.
to your point in your question, is it only for hotels and motels? No, it's going to expand to,
The list that he has in it that it includes.
so everything in the permitted uses in the C1, C2, and C4, we're looking at a 10 by 20?
Is that,
That's what I want, yeah.
okay, is that
That's
what,
what I'd like to have, but let's
Okay.
put it that way.
what's the feeling of the council?
I thought we already voted on lumping them together, unless I'm mistaken.
Is that still the intent? If that's the intent, we'll push it back to the planning commission.
Not one to change my mind on things.
Okay.
I'm okay with it going back.
Okay.
Well, then that just clarifies what happened 2 weeks ago, and it sounds like, okay, so it will go back. I mean, all of it, both those issues will go back, and I don't know of anything pending, so it won't impact anything that's pending right now.
It will not, no.
Okay, all right, it can still come back, and when it comes back, those items can be, regardless of how planning commission voted, those can be separated, or at least voted differently at the time it comes back for discussion at this time, if the body wants it. So it's not gotta be basically, a 2-for-1 deal on that one.
So one last question that I have. So I have no problem with it going back to the planning commission, but I think a lot of this change spurred from the requirements for hotel motels.
That's correct.
And it was the occupancy, the number of rooms that required the number of parking spaces. So just being a devil's advocate here, if you reduce it from 1.25 down to 1, but then you widen the parking spot, you're not gaining much real estate back to the development that was requesting for this and why we're getting these variances coming to us. So I feel we're going to continue to get variances.
That is absolutely correct, and that's what I was trying to iterate in this, is that it's like a dog chasing its tail. We're just doing a circle here.
Okay, so just wanted to get that out. So any other questions? I don't know this is going to fix our problem. Just bottom line, in my opinion. All right, so do we need to take action on this, or is it just going to
No,
just sit and,
It was already voted 2 weeks
Okay.
ago. I just wanted to get clear. It sounds like everybody knew what they were voting for. I just want to get clarification on that.
all right. No other questions? We'll move on to item D, public hearing for resolution number 3403.
A resolution, the East Ridge City Council permitting Jenny Varner to operate a private Montessori preschool facility at 842 South Germantown Road, located within an R1 residential district in accordance with City Code Article 5, Section 200, titled Uses Permitted on Review.
Thank you, sir. I'll open up this public hearing, and if we have the applicant, I believe, Ms. Varner, you're here if you'd like to come forward, or your other representatives would like to come forward. I'll also give an opportunity for anyone in the audience in favor of or opposed to can come as well afterwards. Yes, ma'am. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Jenny Varner. Don't live in East Ridge. I live at 1832 Old Ringgold Road. And I have a business that's been running since 2016 that's currently in East Lake, but we'd like to relocate onto Germantown Road in East Ridge. I do have family that's lived in East Ridge for over 50 years. So, I have papers if you want them to kind of get to know more about our business, but it's just a small preschool. And I do have drawings of the traffic pattern. I have Rocky that was here earlier. He's worked on our traffic pattern and our remodel that we'll do to accommodate what we need for that building.
Mr. Howell, do you have anything to add?
Not much more than that. I mean, it was, for the longest time, this property was used as, I think it's TLC, talk, learn, communicate, or listen, communicate, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how long it's been closed, but, at that point, it was illegal, but non-conforming to the district it serves. So this type of permitted use as a private school is allowed in an R1 district with approval of council, so it would be a conforming use at that point.
Do you want to hand out some documents, some of your information to the, you're more than welcome to. It's up to you. And while you're doing that, is there anyone in the audience in favor of or opposed to who'd like to come forward? Now is your opportunity during this public hearing. Thank you. All right, I don't see anyone, so I'll close this public hearing, and we'll move actually into the resolution of 3403. Yes, ma'am, I offered an opportunity to come forward multiple times. I'll let you come forward, but make it brief. Give us your name and address, please.
I'm Beverly Inman Ebel. My address is 276 South Crest Road. the property that I own on Germantown Road. I came before this council in 1987. It was residential. It was a very dilapidated house with drug dealers in it. Came before this council, it was zoned O for professional office and schools. We operated there since 1987 until January, the end of January 2020. COVID, I had an operation, COVID hit, then I started working from home. We were not illegal. I don't understand how this was returned to residential when the owner of the property was never notified. But it was zoned O back in 1987. I don't know when that was changed because I wasn't notified. I would be delighted for a Montessori school to be there. It would make my heart sing. Thanks.
Thank you.
And it very well could have been zoned O1 at that time. She stated 1987. We did the zoning updates in 1989, which blanket zoned a lot of these areas. I do have the old maps of City of East Ridge, so I can verify if it was actually O1 at that time. But now it is R1, so that blanket rezone that back to R1 in 1989.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you. All right, we'll move into the resolution. Mr. Litchford.
Resolution number 3403, a resolution of the City Council for the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, permitting Jenny Varner to operate a private Montessori preschool facility at 842 South Germantown Road, located within R1 Residential District in accordance with City Code Article 5, Section 200, titled Uses Permitted on Review.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3403.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 3403.
Second.
Have a motion approved by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion? Yes, sir.
This information she passed out, I've read here that this is nonprofit, so is this remove it from the property tax rules?
Yes. If it's nonprofit and they're operating out of here and they file their certificate of being a nonprofit, there would be no property taxes.
Is what she's got right here, so it says nonprofit, so.
Right.
They are
Okay.
nonprofit.
Any other questions? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3403 passed. We'll move to item F, resolution number 3403.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council approving bids for the purchase of uniforms for the fall and winter sports season.
Skiles?
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Parks and Rec Department opened sealed bids on June 28th for the fall and winter uniform sports bids. We received 6 bids, and staff is recommending at this time that we award Crown USA Incorporated for the fall and winter 2023 season, as they met all of the bid specifications. And I did include that in your packets, if you had any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3404.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Haynes and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion? See none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution number 3403 passed. Thank you. We'll move to item G, resolution number 3405.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council authorizing the city manager or his designee to purchase 215 95-gallon trash carts and 195-gallon recycle carts from Auto Environmental Systems North America, Inc. to the Houston Galveston Area Council Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract number RC01-21.
Yes, sir. Mr. Parker.
Yes, Mayor Williams, Council. We need to purchase these cans because of the simple fact is we're starting to get a lot of residents, and a lot of folks are wanting double cans because there's more living in a household now than what there used to be. So that's why we need them.
Thank you, sir. All right. I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 3405.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 3405.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Vice Mayor Haynes. Do we have any discussion?
Just one, are all of these cans just for new construction, or are they, are we gonna be able to replace some of the broken garbage cans that are out there?
No, they'll be replacing some of the broken cans, and also for the new residents that's coming in. We have to maintain a certain amount of cans that's new for the new residents, because they sure don't want an old can brought to a new
Thank you,
home.
Mr. Parker, that's all I needed.
Anyone else? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution 3405 passed. We'll move to item H, resolution number 3406.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council to establish a mandatory retirement age requirement pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-36-205 to authorize the payment of the supplemental bridge benefit and to authorize Group 1 members who have creditable service in a Group 1 position covered by such mandatory age requirement to retire on service retirement benefits upon attainment of age 55 with 25 years of creditable service.
Yes, missing the audio.
Good evening. Chief Williams and Chief Usselton are joining me in requesting council approve the adoption of an enhanced benefit plan and the accompanying provisions for all public safety employees. And just so you know, Justin Ball with TCRS, he's a regional outreach specialist for our area, is joining us today. He's back here. If there are any questions regarding the provisions.
I have one. It says mandatory age at 55. When a police officer turns 55, he's out, but he says with 25 years of experience, but if he's got 24 years of experience, work till he's 56 till he gets his 25, or?
It's not mandatory at 55, it's mandatory at age.
Yeah, if you'll come up and give us your name.
Want to get you on record, Justin?
Okay, yes, Justin Ball with the Treasury Department. So the mandatory retirement age is age 60 for those who are not in administrative duties, 50% or more administrative duties. They can stay on until age 62. And the chiefs don't have any mandatory retirement age, but it allows employees that fall under this, public safety category to retire at 55 years old with 25 years of creditable service at an unreduced rate. So that's where the 55 comes in.
There's no mandatory, no age mandatory nowhere.
Yes, at age 60.
60,
Yep.
okay.
At age 60 for those who are not in an administrative role. Administrative would be categorized as 50% or more of their duties. Or
Does the 60 have a number of years? 60
Sorry?
at 25 or 60 at 20?
No, it would be
or-
mandatory at 60, at age 60.
Any other questions? I see none. All right, I will entertain a motion for resolution number 3406.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 3406.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Vice Mayor Haynes. Do we have any discussion, any questions? I see none. I will say that this was a difficult decision. I know it impacts some. I know that it impacts some for the favor and some not in favor of. We had quite a bit of input from the the majority of our employees. I sat down and spoke to several of those employees that had questions and tried to answer some of their questions. So it was a lot of thought and a lot of the benefit of the department, the city, it was put into this. So I appreciate everyone's involvement, everyone's input, and concerns. So with that being said, roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes. Councilmember Cagle.
I understand this job is a young man's job, but I just hate seeing the mandatory thing put on it. But that's the only way that we can be hiring new recruits, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3406 pass. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll move to item I, resolution number 3407.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council authorizing the purchase of hydraulic rescue tools and accessories from Municipal Emergency Services through the Sourcewell Purchasing Alliance contract number 040220REB.
Thanks, sir. Chief Williams.
Yes, Mayor and Council, when we purchased the engines, a year ago, we put into that amount was for rescue tools, $35,000. Since then, we have been trying to keep up with, the amount that the tools were increasing as well as other things that were increasing. This was one of the items that increased quite a bit. So what we did is I sat down with Mr. Miller and we adjusted in our line item machinery and equipment for the anticipating that amount being over that $35,000 with the latest quote, and the latest quote is showing $53,270.57. We have the money in our budget. We anticipated that when we were doing the budget together. We are going to receive the $35,000 taking off the cost of the engine on the final payment. Me and Ms. Qualls and Mr. Miller have all discussed that. Saying that, I've come to the council with a updated quote on how much the hydraulics will cost, rescue tools for that new engine that's coming in, and the amount is $53,270.57. I'm asking the council for your approval for that purchase.
Thank you, sir. Council, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3407.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 3407.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Tyler and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3407 approved.
Thank you. I've also got, if you don't mind me adding this, we do have a late update on our engine as of today. August the 15th, Deputy Chief Albright and myself will go up to Pierce and do our final inspection. So it should be just shortly after that, we should receive that engine services of our city. Thank you all again.
Awesome. Great news. That's all we have on the regular agenda. So we will move to the tentative agenda for July 27th, 2023. The first item under old business, well, we won't, because we won't have, first ordinance didn't pass first reading, and then we're going to send ordinance number 1189. It's going back to the Planning Commission first. So we won't have any old business. So under new business, we have an unnumbered ordinance, an ordinance of the City of East Ridge to amend Title 13 Property Management Regulations of the East Ridge City Code by amending Chapter 1, Section 104, titled Overgrown and Dirty Lots, to be first reading. Mr. Litchford?
Yeah, sorry.
You?
Well, my hope is the same thing, is when we come back, we're trying to establish that owner-occupied as well as non-owner-occupied is treated the same way. State code allows it, when this was originally adopted by the city. Gosh, I want to say 94, if my recollection is what the ordinance provision was. I don't know why they did it in 94 that way. They made a delineation between owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied. The state law does not make a distinction between if a property is not in compliance with code regulations. The city is permitted to go and perform those self-help efforts. Generally, almost 99% you see this in the yard, the mowing of the yard. And so this just would modify and really update the city code consistent with Tennessee code, so that would allow the city to go to owner-occupied properties and cut these yards or bring the properties into compliance. Their only distinction would be owner-occupied, you can't apply a lien until it gets up to the $500 threshold. And so I don't know what our first mow job is at all. I think it's dependent on hourly. There may be some hourly components to it, but that's the end of it. This is just making owner-occupied properties brought within Title 13.
Thank you, sir. Questions? All right, I see none. The next item is unnumbered resolution, purchase of dumpsters for sanitation department. Mr. Parker.
Mayor, council. We're asking to replace 4 dumpsters. They're 11-yard dumpsters, 4 foot high. The reason why we're asking to do this, prior to Byring's retirement, I had got with him to have him to look at the dumpsters to see if they could be repaired in some way or another. He has suggested that we get rid of them. He says they're unrepairable. There's just too much rust where they're seamed together. A weld wouldn't hold. So I had got with a company out of Texas is where we bought these dumpsters from prior to about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And actually, when we bought them there, they're the only company that can use that dumpster on our trailer. So we're kind of stuck. I went out, I tried to call other companies to find out if they would make a dumpster to fit that trailer, and they said no. It would cost more to make a dumpster to fit our trailer than to buy them from that company. So that's each one of the 12 by 11 yard dumpsters are $3,500 each. And then it comes to $16,570 for 4 of them, 75. Correction, $16,570, 75 for 4 dumpsters.
Thanks, sir. Any questions, council?
What would it cost to buy a new truck to haul them with?
Probably around 230,000, maybe.
Remodifying the back end, or where it would haul them?
Well, the only way that we could possibly do that is we'd have to order a truck that's kind of like a swamp loader, and that's still going to cost us a lot of money. We're cheaper going with the trailers because we can get the trailers in driveways a lot easier than what we can to back a truck on some of these narrow roads into a driveway without going off into a ditch.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is an unnumbered resolution, purchase of 2 2023 Ford F-150 4x4 trucks for traffic control department and street department.
We had in the budget that was approved by the city council for fiscal year 23-24, a new 2023 Ford F-150 4x4. This would be 2-door, and that one is going to replace, one of those trucks are going to replace a 1993 Jeep Cherokee from the Traffic Control Division, and the other truck would be replacing a 2012 F-150 4x2. So we're asking for your approval in the amount of $79,130 for replacing 2 Ford pickup trucks.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, council?
These gonna be 2023s.
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't see any other questions. We'll move to item D, another unnumbered resolution, purchase of one 2023 Ford F-150 4x2 truck for Parks and Rec.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Parks and Rec Department is requesting the purchase of one new 2023 Ford F-150, a 4x2 service truck. The Parks and Rec Department has included a service truck in our approved fiscal budget for 2023-2024. I also included the price quotation. It is a 2023 model. This will replace the car that's older than the Jeep in the street department.
1993 F-150.
Yeah, it has no lights. It doesn't leave the park. It's good for us throwing trees in the back, but it doesn't even have seats really in it, so.
Sure it's a truck?
Yeah.
Thank you. Council, any questions? 4x2, is that going to be sufficient?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay,
So we wouldn't take this, our 4x4s, we would do the gators with. So anything that we'd have to go off in the park, this would just be, again, for going around the track and what needs to happen around the park.
okay, so I'd ask.
I tried to save some money for us.
About $7,000. All right, the next item is another unnumbered resolution, approval for bids of sports photography.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The City of East Ridge will accept sealed bids for the Parks and Rec Department for the 2023-2024 fiscal year for our sports, youth, and rec photography. Bids were received by Janet Middleton, and they were actually opened yesterday. And at our next council meeting on July 27th, we will present the 2 bids that came in for us.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, any questions? See none, we'll move to the next item. It's another unnumbered resolution, appointment of library board to fill an unexpired term ending December 30th, 2023. So, Lisa, is that you, or you want me to cover that one?
That was one, I guess, we got notice, I want to say about a week and a half ago, of a resignation of Ms. Ann Waterhouse, who I understand has been a wonderful service for the library for several years. I understand there's a lot of appreciation for her services, but I think transportation has become an issue, and so she has resigned. But much appreciation to Ms. Waterhouse, and so we'll need to fill out. That is a council
Correct.
appointment, and I understand. I think Ms. Middleton, we need to go ahead and publish notification. Has that already happened? Okay, I thought it had, yeah. So it can come up at the next one because we're within the guidelines or the timeline of what's required for the publication.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. Any questions, council?
Yeah, one. I know there's a limit on how many times you can be reappointed. How long have they got to set out before they could apply for this?
I can't, that was state law in the library. I think it's 1 term, I think. If they got it out 1 term and then they can come back. I can't remember what the number of consecutive terms. It was library is separate than all of our other boards. It's two consecutive terms under state law, and then they got to sit out and then they can come back.
The reason why I asked is because my last appointee, she couldn't be reappointed because she done served, I think, 2 terms, and wondering if she has.
Okay.
Would that qualify since this is an abbreviated or early? Does it have to be full?
I can look.
You know where I'm getting technical now, but I think it's where you were going.
Really,
Could she be appointed, or I say she, they, on this fulfillment, or does it need to wait for a full cycle?
I'd have to look at the state
Okay.
law on that one.
Got you some homework. Next item is another unnumbered resolution, approval to purchase turnout gear for fire department. Chief Williams.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is to go along with the 6 positions that we are currently trying to fill. This is 10 sets of turnout gear. This will be purchased through the Sourcewell contract from the vendor of Navco Fire Equipment. And the total amount will be for $33,530.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, council? See none. The next item is another unnumbered resolution appointment of a consulting planner for the development of a 5-year Parks and Rec plan, 2024 through 2028.
Thank you, Mayor. Our current 5-year Parks and Recreation plan that was adopted back in 2017 expires the end of 2023. In order for the city to become eligible and considered for Parks and Recreation grants under TDEX program, the local governments must have an active comprehensive plan. Southeast Tennessee Development District completed the plan back in 2017 for us. However, due to their staffing and a backlog of projects, they could not get ours done this year. So we went out for requests for qualifications from experienced consulting planners. We received 3 proposals: TSW, Reagan Smith, and Kimley Horn. The selection committee that consisted of Cameron McAllister, Shauna Skiles, Chad Akers, Richard Worley, who is associated with Topgolf, and myself. We heard their presentations on Monday, July 10th. We are going to meet next week or tomorrow morning to confirm and discuss our notes on that, and we should have an appointment to the council for your consideration for approval at the next meeting of July 27th.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, council? See none. All right, the next item is another unnumbered resolution, purchase of mower for Parks and Recreation.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Parks and Rec Department requests approval to purchase a 35 horsepower Kawasaki FX with the deck. It's a 72-inch wide mower, which is what we need to get a lot of the mowing done there. It is with Smith Turf and Irrigation under our Sourcewell, which is our cooperative purchasing agreement. It came in at $12,573, and this is a budgeted item. This mower will replace our 2012 Bush Hog mower that has 4273 hours on it. And I did attach the specifications and the quotes so that you could see it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, council? See none. That is the last item we have on the tentative agenda. Is there any other items anybody would like to bring up? I hear none. I thank everyone for being here tonight. This meeting is adjourned.